This is the video to show you how to age your rugs. It's long overdue, but I actually had to make rugs to show how to age them. So it did take some time to do this video. This is the new kit that's going to be available. And I will show you how to age this rug and other colors, because sometimes you have dark colors and it doesn't look as though you need to age, but we'll show you. When I was growing up, I remember pressing wool. My dad's Sunday suit, the wool pants with the knife pleat, and you could take the most terrible worn wool with worn spots and those shiny spots, and once you used a pressing cloth and a hot iron, it looked like new. I don't want that for my rugs, so I never use an iron and never use heat and a pressing cloth. Instead, I use plain water. This is just plain water, and I use paintbrushes. I don't soak my rug in the water. I find it will get too wet. So I use a paintbrush, and I also paint the colors on. The idea in aging a rug is to layer your colors with a paintbrush, just as an artist would layer paint on a canvas. And it's not to just plop the color on the same as you would paint your walls in your house. So first, I do the back of the rug, and I dip my paintbrush in water, and I just keep wetting the back. Just keep going. The water is warm. It's just tap water. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, if it's warm, but since I took it from the tap, I used warm water. And you'll notice in this rug, I've put the binding on, and it was the base was cut on the bias, so it's stretching a bit, and we're going to put that back in shape. I do the back of the rug first because it does soak through to the front of the rug, and that way I don't need a lot of water in the front. There. And then I just use my hands and I start pressing it into shape. And now I will turn it over, and I will do the front of the rug. I'm really going to soak this binding because it needs to be put back in shape. This is an interesting kit. It's something different. The pennies were cut and then they were dyed. It's a completely different look. And it really makes the rug aged. And I'm just going to lightly go over that. I've already done the back, so it's not, it doesn't take a lot of water to do the front. So then I will gently press, well, really not gently. And I'll stretch this binding in shape. Now, this is the time when I add a bit of color if need be. I wonder if that's, I think that's probably the penny. And I will use a small brush. This is my preferred aging. This is onion dye. That is full strength from a batch that I made, although it can be much darker than that. Onion dye does not take a dark color to the fabric, especially cottons. It just gives a nice old look, and this would be the color of tea, and you can see the difference. That's tea. I don't use tea, and that's, whoops, where am I? And that's the onion dye. It's just a nice, very nice brownish shade. It doesn't hurt the wool, it's a natural dye. So I'm just going to put my little brush in. There's a little bit there. I need to do, there was a little piece of white thread. There's another piece. If there are any spots, I really put a good soaking in. They will show up white. Sometimes the thread where it's tied when I dye it is a bit light. This one really doesn't need a lot of aging. And if I want to age the whole rug, I will use another brush and I'll dip it in, dab it off, and then just go along. If I want to age that binding, I'll just go along. And you can see the color on the edge of the, maybe I'll do it here. You can see the color on the white fabric. And of course it dries lighter. And I think I'm just going to lightly go around some of those stitches. So any rug can be aged after it's made. You just need to wet it first. Make sure you use the plain water to wet it first. And if you have spots, just go through and keep dabbing it on those spots where they're white. They show up. And then once again, I will press it with my hands. Get that binding done as nice as possible. And that is this rug aged. I will then just let it air dry. I will just set it in a place where air is circulating, and it will dry overnight, and it's finished. And I'll just move that one here. If you were doing a dark rug, such as this one actually is one of the rugs that's going to be for sale this month. You probably don't need to use the onion dye. I would just wet it, and I would again wet the back and then the front, as I've done with the first rug. I would then just press it with my hands. You're pressing the top of the rug with your hands, and it doesn't flatten the stitching, it just gives it a very nice finished look. So that's really all I would do with that rug. There may be a little place there. You can really notice if stitching is white. You might just put a little bit there. And really that's all that's needed to complete that rug. And also I should mention that I like my threads to roll up. I don't like perfect stitches. And the paintbrush does that a little bit, not much. This rug has been started and dried. You can see the difference. This is when I have a light rug and I want to really change the color. So I would do the back with the plain water. I would then go on the front and I would do plain water everywhere. Then I would go with my brush and do full strength onion dye and really soak the onion dye in. Then press it down. And then I would take my little brush, because I want spots to be a bit darker. I want to really age this rug. I would just then take my little brush and layer dark spots every now and then. So I'll move that one. This is another rug that's for sale. Pen stuck in it. And these rugs are also in the demo for the penny circles. Different ways to finish rugs and that type of thing. This one, I would age this one because the colors to me are a bit too perfect. So even though this is a dark rug, it's black and it's wool on wool, I would give this a bit of dark age. And I will do that later. This one, actually these two rugs have pretty much the same color pennies, except one is on a dark background and one is on an off-white piece of cotton, and it completely changes the look of the colors. The black really pops the colors, and that's why I would age this one more. This one, the pennies look very muted and old, so I would do the back and then I would just give a little bit of aging on that one. That one looks pretty good. This one is the last of the rugs that are going to be finished and for sale this month. This one again is on a black background, so the colors are a little too bright, and I would definitely do an all-over aging on this one. And you will see the before and afters when I have these on for sale on Etsy. So that basically is how to do the aging, how to age your rugs. The water, soak it, press it with your hands, and then you would take you can use tea if you prefer to use tea, or I've never used black walnut. I don't know. I would imagine that's very strong, so you would need to dilute that, and then just layer it on, and less is more. You can always add more color, but it's very difficult to take it away. So if you're not sure, just play around with it, experiment. You can always wet your wool and add some more color if you don't like it. And that's it for the aging video. If you have any questions, I'm always available to answer. And happy stitching.